Hi, I'm Rieny Cualoping, and we're back with the ENERI Access Series Asian Pacific American Heritage Month 2021 edition. And we are so delighted to welcome back Tatsu Aoki for episode 2.
Tatsu Aoki is an award-winning, multi-talented musician, composer, filmmaker, educator, director, and producer.
We go back a long way, Tatsu, right? Over 20 years. Over 20 years.
Thank you for having me again.
We want to talk today about now. Your life is so prolific. We did an episode earlier about beginnings, and today we want to focus a little bit more about now and what's in the future. So welcome, Tatsu.
Thank you very much.
You got a wonderful grant from the city of Chicago to work on an Asian American cultural legacy project.
It's interestingly enough, I think it was for the time now that we're facing, it was a good time for DK's, city to actually approve a proposal. Proposal that we've been talking to many different people about how our musical and performing arts history is not part of the Chicago history, which means, our history is dismissed, right? So my idea was to create a historical documentation. In IE, it could be a written books or it could be a web page. It could be a web-based library where people can go, log into the site and see the overall activity. In some ways, each individual artist history has been noted somewhat. What I'm talking about is more about the Asian American cultural contribution as a whole. What all these rockers, blues players, R&B players, performing artists, jazz artists, and pop music artists, what all these people did in the last 40 plus years in Chicago history. And we, Asian Improv Arts, and I myself as an individual artist, felt like our contribution was not really noted properly. And this was very interesting discovery. You know how I had played with many famous people, right, for so many years. And when somebody wrote about them, we don't exist, or I don't exist, or we don't exist, right? So then I realized, wow, what Bay Area people were talking about back in the early 90s is really true thing that we've been omitted from this history. And it has a lot to do with systemic racism for one, and also I think last episode we did talk a little bit about the Eurocentric justification process, or evaluation process that we have to go through. And that's why it was surprising to me to realize, just looking back last 40 years in Chicago, how easy it was for all of us to be dismissed in the history. So my idea was to kind of compile this document and put it somewhere.
She received a major grant from the City of Chicago Department of Cultural Affairs and Special Events called DKs. And it's to create a digital history archive of Chicago's Asian American creative music, performing art, and related historic events, right? That sounds like a huge project, Tatsu. It sounds like a six-figure project, right?
To be way more than 6 figure. 5 figure was given to us to kickstart. So I think it's great. We started to interview people now. We have a transcriber and a narrative writer to write all these things. And it's a great thing. It's a great feeling of actually getting people to talk about their history and putting them in writing. And I feel that's what it was missing.
So I know it's historical records of Asian American contributions to the creative arts. You call it ecology of Chicago.
Yeah, right.
Web-based. It's going to have interviews, reviews, photographs, performances of music and dance, and other arts, as well as academic essays.
I think my main interest is this. There should be some kind of a historical timeline that people look at it and go, wow, there's a Stephen Hashimoto, there's a Mia Park doing something, Quincy Wong doing something, Asian American theater doing something, Star Friday Night doing something, right? So all this stuff needs to be looked at as a historical contribution by the Asian Americans. I mean, including myself and my colleagues.
Speaking of Stir Friday Night, which was founded by our friends and colleagues, Quincy Wong and Keith Uchima, I, for one, was just so happy to hear that Stephen Yuen, who was in Stir Friday Night in Chicago, was just nominated for a Best Actor Oscar in Minari. Yeah, absolutely thrilled. And to think that started, he's from Chicago, or he spent a lot of time, I should say.
I think in the theater is a little bit more visible that way, then come down to creative music, jazz, improvised music, rock music, punk music, noise music. It's all not there. So I like to create a place where we can see.
Yeah, I think it's quite different from TV.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think TV is getting better. I myself do a lot of extras work for TV, and I know it's gotten a lot better.
So I think this idea that we've been talking about, Irene, about systemic issue is this, because we didn't have a writers, we didn't have a journalist to be particularly interested in this bunch of people as a certain group, i.e. Asian American, right? We didn't have these people. And we've been already dismissed by important books that are written by music journalists, important books that are written by historians, because we were not noted. And I want to go back,
Yeah, if you're not in the room and you don't have a seat on the table, how can you share your message?
Right. So I think that goes back to our last discussion from the last episode about the positioning. We need to earn the social position in many different area in the society to be part of it, and we haven't been part of it. You remember we went to a book signing at your event with Helen Zia, right? So when I spoke to her many moons ago, we were consistently talking about missing in the history. This idea of missing in the history, how do we get bumped out from this thing? That was what she was talking about back then, and it's still happening.
So I wanted to give out the temporary website address, the Asian American Cultural Legacy Project, and the site is http://AACL.Chicago.org. And we are going to be really looking forward to see what comes out from that project, Tatsu. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you know interesting people to talk about this subject matter, you don't have to be a musician or artist to talk about it. The people, I've been talking to people who are booking these things. Mm-hmm. I've been talking to people who are producing these things.
Who are part of the history.
Yeah. And so the history as a whole, I think we are very much interested in that.
Yeah, like people like Marguerite Horberg, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like Bush. They really were very, very helpful to the community and part of the history. So thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in to the ENERI Access Series, Asian Pacific American Heritage Month 2021 edition. Hear me, what I want to say.